here. This is the Declassified podcast. Is kind of what I think that's what it's going to grow and kind of evolve to be. We've got LaRocco from Camarilla Cafe, and we're kind of getting into it. This is going to be good, LaRocco. We're just going to dive right into this. These are going to be shorter episodes for just our Patreon people. And if you need me to change the audio as far as so you can hear it clearly and all of that, just let me know too. Now,
it's all good. I got you on my end.
Cool. This little different. We're not going over to the website on this one since it's just for the Patreon. We are really going to dive in and we're going to start pulling some YouTube videos. LaRocco, let me ask you. We're going to dive right into one that's a little bit of a stretch. I'm not even breaking you in easily on this one.
Okay.
Do you believe in mermaids?
Ooh. I mean, it depends, right? Like, I would be the first to admit, and I even admitted on my shows, I've never personally seen a UFO or think that what I've seen has been a UFO. I've been in a lot of areas of the United States and I've seen a lot of stuff flying around. It could have been comets, it could have been planes, it could have been helicopters. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I do believe that exists. As far as mermaids, I mean, I've lived off the coast of a major city my whole life, so I would imagine if they do exist, they're not hanging out over there.
You'd be surprised. Well, okay, so when we talk New York, mm-hmm. I haven't heard of any mermaid sightings up there, but there was one recently in Tennessee.
Oh, I'd actually be surprised because that's actually inland. So that's more like lakes and channels and rivers, but not really like off the coast. But I guess if they're anywhere, they would be there. If that makes sense, because they'd have land. They wouldn't be just kind of off into the water with nothing around. Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt it just because I haven't seen it. Right.
I think that's the way you had to be. This one's a little bit of a stretch even for me, right? I want to believe it because it falls in line with the cryptids, with all of that. Let's go back. So this is the first substantial mermaid footage that was really ever captured. It's probably the most famous, and some people watching this might have even seen it before. This one was really taking place, I do believe, in Israel, okay? And now, when we watch this, it's an older video, and we're going to kind of break it down, and we can pause as we need to. But you're going to see that basically someone is filming, and they're kind of looking over a cliff. Oh, cool. I still have it so you can see my mouse. So this rock where my mouse is where you're actually going to see the mermaid. Again, this is older. So, I mean, as far as the CGI and stuff, we're talking this was years and years ago. A little bit harder to recreate that CGI. And now I've seen, when you look up mermaid footage and videos on YouTube, you're going to find a lot of fake ones because that's just, it's a thing with mermaids. I don't know. But this one is pretty substantial. This one it turned my head and kind of got my attention. I'll play it.
Yeah, man, this is cool. Got a seal on the rock down there? That thing.
Okay, so the guy said it was a seal. Initially said it was a seal, and it's right here. It's like right there. It's got a big tail that's kind of fanned out. You're gonna see. They're gonna zoom in on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just sitting there.
That's a weird looking seal, man. Are you filming this? Yeah. How do you, where's the zoom on this? Yeah, it's that button. Oh, there, I got it.
Okay. Now, as they zoom in, you're starting to see it a little bit more, like kind of right here. They're going to get even closer. As they get closer, it's going to, I say scurry off, but it's going to move.
It's a seal, man.
So right there, he says, I don't think that's a seal, man. It looks back.
Oh my God! What is that?
And then it just jumped in the water. And I'll go back again right there. So
It looked like it had a full head of hair.
yeah, and now this is very, it's a very grainy video. So this is definitely an older one, and it might not even be the initial, like, original video that was posted, but as it scurries off, you get to see a little bit more of its dimensions and things. Looks back, and then, like, right here, like, that's actually a really good shot of where you can see the kind of tail.
Now, you have a lot clearer of a screen. Does it look like it has arms?
Okay. I'm going to try to break this down as kind of best as possible.
Because I think arms and hair would pretty much seal the debate a bit, right?
Well, what it looks like here so it's looking back right now. It actually looks like yoga pose, like how, like, you'd see like a chick kind of bend her back and her legs are stretched like a dog stretching, and it looks like it's propped up with two hands right here, and it's kind of looking back over its shoulder at this point.
Okay.
Still a little too blurry to say for sure, but and then it scurries off and it kind of jumps in.
That was some jump too. You saw how it kind of like vaulted over the top of that rock.
Yeah. It's long. I mean, that's long right there, and then yep, goes right in.
So now I know that this is like this is something to say for a much broader conversation, right? But so I don't know if you've heard about the recent like announcements from China. I'm not dead sure if it's 100%.
Did I mention that this was from Israel? This is not from the States.
But like they've admitted that they've actually created at least an embryo of like a chimera.
Okay.
So they're learning how to fuse genes, right? So, and I guess this is shooting off of what we were just talking about, like do I believe in cryptids and not believe in cryptids, right? So all ancient text in the world spoke about a lot of these hybridized monsters and things like that, or hybridized beings. Like, is there a chance that they're remnants of a greater society where we had these genetic abilities to create them, and maybe they're just the numbers are dwindling?
Yeah. Like, so if we think of this like a species more than anything, so that's one of the theories, is right. It's its own species. We're calling it a mermaid. Now, what we've kind of titled mermaids as, like, as far as Disney and stuff, it could be slightly a variant of what the species is. Depending on what you believe, there's another theory out there too that mermaids were actually people just like us, but through evolution, you had two directions. You had the side that kind of came from apes or whatever and went towards the land side,
And one that came from fish.
or went that direction and learned how to adapt over time. So
Yeah, I mean, we know so little about our oceans that it's absolutely incredible. We have submarines, scuba diving, and above sea ships. That's what we have.
yeah,
So when people think we can just openly explore the water and have no issue doing it, we have every issue under the sun doing it. And you have things that you don't see 20 feet away that can decimate you, like the size of the whales, great white sharks. So there's a lot we don't know about water, and people are super confident we don't.
right. Well, the other thing here too is, well, you got to think anytime there's been a sighting like this, well, really I would say there's only been two that I would substantiate. The rest of the mermaid footage I would say is kind of BS. This is one of the ones that kind of makes me question. There's another one I'm going to show you that's a little bit better. But the other thing too is what's so hard with sightings like this is you see it, and now we can't just jump in the water and chase it. By the time we were to even get down there or get in the water,
it swam fucking 200 feet.
it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing to consider also is if the species is half human or has remnants of us, if we consider ourselves an intelligent organism, which I would debate that, but they would understand to evade. They understand what war is, and they understand what the land, counterpart is.
Yes.
And they would know to stay away from us for the most part. Most of the tales of mermaids from the past come from people who were on ships in water, which is arguably their territory, right? They have you stuck on that ship in the middle of the water. You're no longer as much a threat as you are if they catch you on land.
Right. Well, there's also, like, when you go and look at cave paintings too, you have pictures, and I probably should have pulled some of those, but there's cave paintings of like stick figure people on land fighting with like half fish creatures in water.
Yeah, and like I said, if you take into account the intelligent species angle, if it has the intelligence of a human, it would know better. It's not going to get beached like a whale, and it's not going to come up to a human if it knows that the human's going to be volatile toward it.
Right.
So it would be smart enough to say, I'm going to evade this species because the species is just going to kill me.
Yeah.
Unless I catch it on a ship, because now it's stuck completely out in the open water just to us. So now we could do what we need to do. Yeah, I mean, I think that element of intelligence has to be brought in if you're considering that they're still a viable species, or if they were a species at all,
Yeah.
They'd be good at evading like this.
And there's a lot of fishermen out there too. Like, so when they haul in like fish, like big groups or schools of fish in their nets, it's not uncommon. Now, it doesn't happen like every day, but there's been stories and pictures of them finding like bone that has been carved into like spearheads and that is in the fish, things like that
Really?
too. Yep. Like tools. That's the best way. Like little tools that are either knives, daggers, things like that. That are sometimes they break in a fish and they scoop it up. So.
Well, we still do have indigenous peoples. Like if you look at North Sentinel Island, and we are actually leaving that island. I mean, we have the tech to go in and wipe them out, right? But we leave them, and they kill humans that come anywhere near it. So when you consider how many small islands there still potentially are, that, I mean, that could also be
It could be from them.
tribes and things hunting.
Yeah, for sure. This I'll play it one more time just so people can look at it, and then we'll go into the next one. But right there, it turns around, scurries off, jumps in the water.
Did you just tell me you got that? Let's see that. What? That is not a silhouette. Oh my god. Oh my.
Okay, so that's the older one. There's a newer one. Now this one comes from Tennessee, so this is kind of right up your way.
Wait, does it say where exactly? Because if it's a driving distance, I'll go there one day.
I can find that for you. I don't know if it's in the information. I did read about where it was somewhere. Now, this could be a lot of things, all right? But evidence-wise, it's decent. So what you're gonna see kind of, we're looking up here in the video. There's like a ripple in the water. This is where you're looking. Now, we're gonna laugh here because the person filming is stereotypical to everything you would think. For this person, is the politest way I would put that.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Did you see that, Johnny? Oh my god!
Just wait for it. This is a good one. But the evidence right here is clear. Now we're talking. This was in the last year. Last year and a half, I'd say.
Hold on, let me turn this motherfucking
A
music.
little context. Okay. So this is a lady that was just sitting here parking. I don't know if she was smoking or just having a picnic, but was filming, listening to music, and then
Now, this better not be what.
what?
Both is possible.
Yes.
Let me turn this motherfucking music down. This better not be what I think it is. This better not be what I motherfucking think it is.
Now, by the way, if you're trying to substantiate things, probably dial back the language so it's a little more credible.
It's a fucking mermaid, motherfucker. It's a fucking mermaid. I saw a fucking mermaid.
Maybe she should jump in.
Okay, now
Hang out with the mermaid.
Okay, now I'm going to turn down the volume and we're going to kind of watch the clip. So you definitely see what looks like a head right there. Okay.
Yeah.
And it kind of arcs out of the water, and then you see a fairly big fin. I don't know if I've ever seen really a fish with that kind of fin. I'll go back again.
Well, it's very slender, and the way it's bending is not often
Right there. Okay, yep.
like that would look more like a water snake if it were not.
And it's a big fin, and the fin kind of goes out and kind of, back here.
Right, it's bendy. Fish don't usually bend like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the frame by frame of it. And see how it kind of folds over at the end right there too?
Mm-hmm. But did it look like there was a head in the beginning?
Yeah, let's go back here. So what pops out of the ripples is this. So that's all you see right there. Now we're kind of seeing a little bit of a head shape. And then it kind of swims. I think it starts to dip down for a second. And there you go.
Oh, so you're assuming that it has a long, slender body that started with like an oval shape, which fish don't generally have.
Right. And then so as it goes down, it's almost going down as like my finger is the head. It's going down, and then the rest of the body is coming up.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then if
the way somebody would dive or go further, it's like a human movement.
Right. And then if we frame by frame, you start to see what looks like the butt part of it. That would be kind of the leg. And then it kind of goes up. There's your fin. This is a longer one. I think it still pops up.
Fucking mermaid. I saw a fucking mermaid.
Christ.
I know, right?
Uh.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, wait, it pops back up.
Like,
yeah. So if I remember correctly, she sits here and she actually watches this for a little bit too.
nobody noticed this fucking mermaid in the sea. Like, nobody see this mermaid, bruh. It's a fucking mermaid out there.
By the way, we need to have her like comment. Get rid of Morgan Freeman. She needs to be on all these documentaries.
I heard
That's
myths.
like the leprechaun people.
It is. It is.
Fucking leprechaun.
But I
Where
ain't know
my
it's
pot
true.
of gold?
This motherfucker out there swimming. Nobody saying nothing. People out there just sitting, looking at him. What the fuck? It's a fucking mermaid, man.
Man. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, haven't they been linked to like demonic things as well in the past?
they're okay. So
More
mermaids.
insidious intention.
Yeah. So there is a difference between a mermaid and a siren. Very, very similar, but sirens are the ones that will lure men in and then kill them. Just whether some people believe they eat them or they just drown them and kill them or whatever. I don't know where I land on that. I think first we need to make sure mermaids are real, then we can try to figure out intent.
That's funny how like unkempt sexual areas have always famously been known to have a fishy scent, which is usually unattractive, and a siren brings you like a whole fucking fish bottom.
There you go. If it smells like fish, it's a tasty dish.
I don't think that siren's getting me in bed.
Well, what would you
or in the coral, whichever one they're pulling me into.
What would you do though, realistically, right? You can't do anything because there's no lower half. It's fish.
It's so hard to, well, not my penis, but it's so hard to devise how you would react if you actually ran into something like this, right? Like, it would have to be somewhat like a dream because it's shattering the paradigm of reality by which you've been raised by, right? Like, it makes you question everything if you were to really find out this was real.
Yeah.
Especially if you meet one.
Yeah, I'm more impressed that she actually like took her camera out and started filming. And this will kind of carry over into the next clip I'm going to show you, which I know I've shown you before. Like when I actually saw a UFO, I watched it for 5 minutes, and the entire time I did not think to pull out my phone and record once, because I was so amazed. I'm like, this is so cool. Look at that, and I didn't want to look away because I know the second I look away, it's gone.
Yeah, catch it while you can, even if it's just going to be in your mind.
Yeah.
Try and deduce whatever you can in that small amount of time. It's like before you start fiddling with your digital device and check Facebook real quick because I told you had 10 notifications.
Right. And so it's not uncommon when you talk to a lot of people that have these experiences. They're like, yeah, I'm not lying to you. I don't know why I didn't film it. So, but this, okay, so there's a couple things. Now I want to play devil's advocate here too for anyone watching. I want to believe, I want to believe in a lot of this stuff. This stuff is super cool. But I don't know if there are other people on the beach. Why is she the only one reacting to it? Right. So that is one question that pops into my mind. Or genuinely, she's the only one who saw it. But still, I mean, this is, I would say this is footage. This is one of the two videos that would get my attention.
It doesn't necessarily mean that other people aren't seeing it, right? Like even that famous one where they claim it was a blimp that just happened a few weeks ago, the UFO sighting over the Jersey Turnpike, I think it was. You know, there were only a handful of cars if you really consider how many cars were just continuing on, right? Because it seems like most people don't want to know. Because the implications just open up every door. Like I said, if you were to meet it in real life, the implications are like reality shattering.
Yeah, it shatters it.
So some people, I really firmly believe at this point, they run away from it. They would definitely turn around and go, that's not what I saw, because they do not want to consider the implications that come along with its existence. How it changes history, how it changes what we've been told for so many years. They don't want to know. So being part of the skeptic people that have to analyze this and see the reactions of others and stuff like that, you always have to take into account the people that don't want to know the truth.
Yeah.
Because the truth will just change everything for them too much.
Yeah.
That they'd rather just finish their experience on this planet and move on, you know?
Yeah, no. That's right, and that's an angle that a lot of people forget about too, is, you know. Yeah, some people do just want to turn away and not know the truth because it's
right. They don't want to know because again, the implications of it are mind shattering. If you're religious, it's going to change the way you see things, and I personally don't understand that angle because, like I said, I could cite the Bible and a lot of religious teachings, and they taught us that there were other forms of beings.
Yeah,
they spoke about it specifically. So, if we did coexist on this planet, why? I mean, at what point did we become so threatening?
Yeah,
like our existence is threatened by their existence, therefore we've become an aggressive species to wipe everything out, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be completely wrong and we could be going 20 steps forward like we've assumed that they're definitely there, but
well, I think you have different forks in the road, so they're progressing in their own way while we are our own way too.
Right. And that's been a big conspiracy thing as well for years and years and years. You know, they claim that they're insectoid humanoids.
Mm-hmm.
That we've literally, that the humanoid form is not exclusive to us. And that every species has evolved into some type of humanoid type.
Yeah. In one of these episodes, I'm going to have to pull the clips and show you. There is a UFO, not once, but twice, showed up 2 different days. And in the UFO, you can see through the windows and you can see the shapes of the aliens in there. Or alien.
Really?
Yep. I'll have to pull that footage. That'll have to be on another episode of Declassified. But it's legit. Like, you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. And it was over the ocean, if that leads to any other conspiracies. So...
The more we get onto the water, the more we realize that they weren't coming from where we think they were.
Exactly. Now,
There's a lot in that water.
There is. It's unexplored. The next clip I want to show you. This is taking a step away from mermaids. I don't know. This could be more of the religious side of thing when you want to talk about monks and things like that, right? So this clip, it's going to be very, very stop motion kind of. This is a very crappy camera. Older video footage too. But this is a little girl, and it's not so old where they're like in Victorian clothes and things like that, but you're going to see a girl with a mom, and the girl is flying. And then they see someone filming, and the mom pulls the girl down and they run away. So here's that clip. Now what? That's obviously a dog. Okay, so that is a dog. It's a guy.
Dog's real?
It's a guy out walking his dog. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe this one comes from Russia, which a lot of weird stuff comes from Russia.
Yes. Tons.
All right,
Теперь ко мне.
so you see the
Ко
dog.
мне, Тарзан. Ко мне, я говорю.
Yeah. So you see the dog start to run.
Тарзан, я сказал, ко мне.
Now the dog is reacting to something. Okay, not the guy. The dog is reacting to something, and then the guy has to chase down his dog.
Тарзан, ко мне.
All right, and that girl in the pink.
Что это? Тихо, тихо, Тарзан.
Now the dog barks, and that's when you kind of see the mom pull the daughter down,
Тарзан, тихо, Тарзан.
and then they run away.
Боже мой.
It's a very stop motion-y one right here, but there's a lot going on. So as they zoom in, okay,
Что это?
that is what we're looking at.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, there's a lot to unpack potentially about this. And it is going to go back to what I was saying before. Modern day humans, this particular society of humans in this particular time frame is very afraid of everything that's different. So, and we do have government things that have come out, classified documents that, they do have people that can remote sight. Mm-hmm. They do have clairvoyance. They do have people that had certain abilities. It's a very frightening time in our species to come out if you are special in any way, shape, or form. Now, that doesn't mean that, again, I believe in this video and that I think that it's dead accurate, but it's a very frightening time if you do have a different ability. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a frightening time if you have a different opinion.
Right.
But
right.
Truly, if you have an ability, you're going to be militarized. You're going to be fucking chastised. You're going to be witch trialed.
Well, and that's where this is going to lead to in my mind. That was the road I was going down.
Of course. I mean, if what's happening in this is real, and the mother did the right thing, holy shit, you're being seen. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And they're obviously in a very woody, cold area that they're just doing this experiment, or she's watching a daughter do whatever it is she's doing. Yeah, I mean, if I had a child that was capable of that, fuck all, none of you people would know about it.
Well, yeah, because the next thing that's going to happen is they get taken away.
Yes.
Well, and not just taken away for their ability, guarantee they're experimented on.
Yeah, or they're killed.
Yeah.
Or the whole neighborhood gets afraid. Everyone's seen Edward Scissorhands, But in a sad way, that's the truth. That's exactly what's going to happen. Because modern day humans are afraid of any fucking single thing that's either different or potentially higher on the food chain.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, breaking this down, looking kind of at the clip, there's a couple things I look for. I was looking for wires, strings, anything like that.
Because she is in one spot.
Yeah. But I'm not necessarily seeing that, and how quickly they get down. Again, it's a very, very grainy video, very rocky, shaky kind of video, so I can't tell you for sure, but I do know they're in the middle of the woods, so I highly doubt, well, maybe there could be some scaffolding over, but I don't know. So this...
It doesn't look like it could be hanging to anything, because they look like they're particularly in an area where a tree's not exactly above them.
And
like they're in front of the tree line and past the tree line.
Right, and I'm not seeing the clothes pinch up in any specific way.
Yep.
So this is an interesting one. And the other thing that kind of I like about this is the clothes are modern. Like I said, that looks like a modern North Face jacket that, well, maybe not pink, but, that you and I would go and buy or whatever. So,
Yeah, that definitely, it happened somewhat in the past 10, 20 years.
Yeah. Down the road of the witchcraft thing, there is, don't ask me how I know this, but there is a spell where, super easy to do. I don't remember the right phrasing you have to say, but literally in order for the spell to work, to fly, you just go to the highest point in whatever region you're in, you say these words, and then you fly, I guess.
Have you tested it?
No, I have not. Well, because so here's the other thing. Like, if that was to actually work and I did it by myself, I'm the dumbass who's going to float all the way up into space and just choke to death.
And that's it.
Yep.
Well, that's if what is space is really what they're telling us it is.
Where we can't breathe? Well,
I mean,
but there are certain
right,
points.
Take a fish out of water, it's going to die. You take a human out of this atmosphere, this thinner than water atmosphere, and we'll probably die. So it depends on the way you look at it.
But there is truth to, like, the higher you go, the less oxygen you have.
Right, correct.
So, yeah, I just don't want to try to do this, be in a video for 2 seconds, and then you watch me float away like a kid who loses a balloon.
I mean, I could hold the camera for you.
Okay.
I'll wave on the way out. I'll be like, Mark, congratulations, you did it, baby. Good work.
Later, asshole. Oh, man. But yeah, so like right here, anyways, the dog starts barking, which grabs the attention, and then they go and they run off. So.
Yeah, I mean, it could be very staged. I mean, it's very convenient, right? But obviously the dog, it's harder to train a household dog to react that way to something that's not alien to what you're setting up, right? Because you'd assume that if that was a complete setup, they'd all know each other, and they'd have to get the dog to start barking.
Yeah,
I run and just start jumping on the woman, licking.
Exactly. Like certain people that always go into your house, the dog's not going to bark, not going to growl at.
Right. So those two would do two different groups.
Yeah.
Obviously, he did walk in on something. Now, whether they were staging that where they were or not is another question, but it definitely is an interesting video.
Yeah, for sure. This one I know I've shown you before. I think this is one of the more credible videos I've actually seen in a long time. Fairly recent. I forget where this is. So what you're seeing on the screen, well, you already know, but I'll explain for the listeners. So what you're seeing on the screen right here where my mouse is, a UFO. Okay. Now, UFO sightings, they happen all over. And as we're learning in the news, it's becoming more and more real, right? But what is a UFO? In this, it's interesting because you're going to see that they're filming through a piece of glass. Now that glass could be like a lens. It could have something more to it than just a piece of glass. I don't know that. But it's acting as a filter. So you're going to see this. I don't think it's in English, but as they start to film, they remove the piece of glass and the UFO completely disappears.
And just to throw in really quick, because we've been talking about the Patreon and how this is going to afford us so many more things coming forward in the future, is that this is something that you've sent to us a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we've already, so I've seen this one and it's definitely intriguing. It gives a lot of different angles to it, so it's hard to tell. I mean, this can easily be done digitally,
Yes.
but not that easily.
So when we talk digitally, the first thing I look for is, okay, so if that camera moves, if it's going to stay in a frame too long,
Right.
That's okay. So they did a good job. If it is digitally, they did a good job with that. The other thing, as the glass kind of moves down, it also divides as that glass. I mean, so there's a lot here that's hard to replicate. I think the bigger question is, okay, so UFOs, the world is, I think, very open to it at this point. Now we're talking cloaking is what we're talking.
Right. now there's different implications. So they are disclosing, and I believe it's going to be another 3 weeks till the Pentagon's forced to disclose something. And we had Obama that went on air and
Right.
said yes. We have no clue where they're coming from. So they're acknowledging that they exist. Like, there is no question that an identified flying object is flying around.
Right.
So these UFOs are real. That still doesn't mean the context of a lot of people's stories are real, but it does mean that they are real. And there have been people that haven't lied. Now, whether the rest of the story is true or not, it still remains to be questioned, but they exist.
Yes.
And they're there. So now it's a matter of weeding out which ones are fake and which ones aren't. Because obviously there are a lot that aren't. And yes, what you're saying, if this turns out to be real, now we're starting to get a picture of, like, are they cloaking?
Yes.
Because now there's other technology that's implicated with the UFO itself. Like, is this how they're disappearing? Are they always there? Where are they?
and this kind of showing that it's right over, it looks like a bunch of hotels and kind of stuff like that too. So they're right there. Video, you're seeing this person run in a little bit closer. Okay.
This also means that they don't have to go in the water to get away, and they don't have to go to the solar system to get away. They could be right next to you and get away.
Exactly.
Be anywhere.
Have you heard any of those? There's videos. Maybe I'll pull this for another episode too. There's videos of noises coming from nowhere, apparently, like loud shrieking, like banshee type noises. Have you seen those videos? I'll pull them for another episode if you haven't. But there's some very good ones, and there is one specific video where it's like a loud screaming banshee kind of mechanical noise, but you look up in the sky and there's nothing. Well, the video that I'm talking about takes place in like a thunderstorm, and it's only when the lightning flashes in the clouds you can make out the shape of it's a ship is pretty much what it looks like.
Well, this also falls in line with the other just general conversation, which maybe we should just cover that here because it's the first episode about cryptids. Is that back then in mythological times, people would report these sightings and they would report them vanishing. They'd report magic. They'd report things, and I don't know, maybe we can find some footage, but China and Russia have shown off technology in which they can cloak. So now it's not magic anymore. Like, maybe it's tech that we've come up with from our own perspective, but that doesn't mean for 4 billion years or however long the Earth has been around, somebody else hasn't been able to figure that out. So if this implies that cloaking is correct, that could mean that a lot of these cryptids had access to technology or were part of societies that had technology that were cloaking, that maybe it was never magic the whole time, that maybe this was something that other people knew and we're just discovering now.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, with it's going to sound crazy going to Bigfoot, which I'm sure we'll come across here plenty of times. Some people believe he's interdimensional, right? So he's not just a monkey. Now he's along the lines of what we're looking at right now.
Yes, we've finally gotten to the point where dimensions has become an actual part of the conversation, right? Like, classically, I've been following conspiracy theories since I'm 13 years old, and for the first 15 years of that, everybody spoke about other planets, other distances, and things can only come from another distance to here. Even though Einstein had theorized different dimensions years ago, right? Now we're finally discussing the potential of dimensions on top of dimensions, and are these beings capable? Are they smart enough? Do they have the tech to actually come in and out of that? Because that means that they coexist with us in the same exact area. Now, what does that mean in a religious context?
Yeah.
Now we move even further, which that discussion we obviously have planned, so we won't really bring that up now. But
there's a lot, and it's seemingly the more the more that we were told was wrong, that was crazy. And I'm gonna, again, Bigfoot, interdimensional beings, things like that, the spirit world, all of this that seemed crazy is now coming to light, where it's like, oh, they were right the whole time.
Yeah. And this is pretty incredible. If this is not fake, since we do know, we have to keep saying it like a mantra, we do know that UFOs exist. UFOs exist. All right? And we're not saying that we know what it is, but we know that UFOs exist. you know, if this video is real, you know, what does that imply now? Because it changes the conversation completely, and it goes in so many different directions that it's maddening almost.
Now, I'm only going back here because there is one point right here where it actually does start to move. Okay, so he's looking at it now. At this point, they've gotten really close to it. And I wish they didn't pull the camera down here, but it does start to move. So it starts to move to the right side of the screen. Right there.
It's supposed to drift.
Yeah, like almost like it was building momentum to just go. But unfortunately, pulled the camera down on that one. Didn't get to see it. But interesting, nonetheless. I really like that UFO footage on that.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing video. And again, I'll point it out to everybody that's, you know, considering coming over to Patreon and stuff like that. Like, these are the types of things we talk about all week. We talk all week and send different videos back and forth and talk about a lot of this stuff. And now, you know, we have a place where we can openly discuss it and openly have a conversation without being worried about what everybody's going to say, which is what pushes these things into the fringe.
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised not a lot of people have actually thought about the implications that the government's coming out and saying that they're real. Because now you have 30 plus years going back into the past. Well, actually it's 2021, so you have at least since Roswell.
Yeah.
That people have been pushing this to the fringe. And how much further can we have gotten as an intelligent species if we were able to talk about this stuff out in the open without being marginalized into some type of group of tinfoil people?
Right.
Like, we could have been talking about this the whole time. Society could have been different. People could have been different.
Yeah, well, imagine
reimagined.
There's a lot of smart people out there, scientists, things, instead of, you know, science tells us this is not possible. They could be using their amazing minds for other things.
Yes, because things that are possible have always been possible. They're not possible today because they were impossible back then. A lot of things have been ruled out because of human persecution.
Exactly.
Human marginalization. And now, you know, who is the intelligent group now?
Yep.
Like, I don't want to point that out and laugh about it.
It did flip because it's like, well, we
intelligent.
Yeah, we knew the whole time, kind of. Not me and you, but like, you know, the people that did have these encounters, things like that.
Yes, and again, you know, I can't stress enough. It does not mean that every single thing that on the internet is true. It does not mean that there isn't misinformation mixed in it. It does not mean that some people have uploaded things as stunts for attention or for views or to, you know,
you'll always have that.
Discredit other footage, but it also means that some of it's real, and it's always been real.
Yeah. You're always gonna have that. Any topic category we talk about, it's because people want those viral videos. They want to, you know, insta famous. So.
Well, what's funny about it too is, like, a lot of the times, even the news, when I watch like CNN or Fox, they're breaking open these like Navy videos and things like that they're officially telling us are real. Like, it's 3/4 into the program, and half of the program had breaking news about Demi Lovato's fucking pronouns. And it's like, all right, Dick, like, seriously? like, is this really the ratings, or are you talking that in the background on purpose?
I don't think there has ever been a news clip that got to you quite as bad as that one in recent time.
And we don't, well, it's fucking offensive. It's massively offensive. And I don't want to jump into offensive culture because I believe in freedom of speech and stuff like that. But seriously, like, how can you respect anybody whose priorities, they prioritize Demi Lovato's pronouns more than the implications of UFOs?
Yeah.
Like, okay, what can UFOs mean? That could mean another country's about to decimate us. It could mean that maybe World War II never ended. It can maybe mean that the real Nazis, I'm not talking about conservatives here, the real ones are still coming in because they were all those theories that Hitler almost figured out how to use the UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a steady since World War II conspiracy. That's not a new thing.
Yeah.
Right? So we knew that these things were getting dug up. We knew that there was potential they were talking to other species. We knew that they were developing this or reverse engineering it. Like, we know it now. How do we prioritize Demi Lovato's fucking pronouns? How is that the conversation? Like, is that the way you want to raise your kids?
No,
Stupid,
you're right.
fucking obnoxiously ignorant humans that just like, I don't want to hear about that. It's scary. No, fuck you.
Yeah.
This
No.
is why the world's going wrong, and I can't listen to those people talking about political things.
Yeah.
I can't trust any opinion you have if you're that fucking stupid.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. It's a distraction is what it is.
Yeah, and the people that will tell you what's morally right and wrong and what we should do politically are the same people that just completely ignore that. I don't give a fuck about Demi Lovato's pronouns. I don't give a fuck about her.
But it is distracting from the real issues.
Yes.
You're right in that sense.
Yes, completely.
Yes, you
this
are.
is what we should be talking about all the fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Fucking people are assholes. Fucking
Look at that.
disgusting. And then I'm supposed to listen to them. Oh, Biden's a nice guy. Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck your family. Fuck where you came from. I can't respect it.
Do I have sound effects on the show? Oh, I do. Look at that.
Go.
There we go. Now it's sounding like a show.
Thank God for Patreon. Here's a toast.
There you go.
Fuck them all.
That's our motto. We went to Patreon because fuck them all.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got one more clip, then we're gonna get out of here for this episode. But for all the people too on Patreon, and we'll try to decide if this is going to be like a free. We'll leak this episode, just give people a taste. Maybe we'll release like the first 10 minutes of it, and then the full version will be on Patreon. I don't know what we're gonna do, but so this last clip I'm gonna show you, we've touched on aliens, mermaids, witchcraft, flying. So we're gonna tie up that spiritual knot with a ghost video or a shapeshifter video. I know I've shown you this one before. It was in one of our late night discussions months ago, but CCTV TV or whatever the hell you call that, basically security camera footage. You're gonna notice there is now this one, I do believe this comes from like Brazil or some weird place like that. You're gonna notice someone walking on the outside of the gate over here, and where are they? Here we go. Okay, so you're gonna see them walking on the outside of the gate. They're gonna show up. I think they come from the right side of the screen. Let's see. Oh, sorry, they come from the left. Yeah, the left side of the screen. Okay, so right here, they come from the left side of the screen. It's kind of really pixelated. They come from the left side, and they just literally phase right through the gate, and they kind of materialize on the other side, and then now they're actually human form walking through. But not really walking like you or I would walk, right, Loracco? It almost looks like they're not used to using that body the way it's walking.
There's definitely different mannerisms, and there's definitely, well, the arms are super long. It's obviously a humanoid form, but
and look
it's
at the
not necessarily structurally like an average human would be.
Leg is super skinny. Leg is super skinny here too.
Yep. And now the other thing that I tried to notice before anybody remarks about it is that he's obviously on the other side of the fence because there's light that we're looking at the fence on. There's light on that fence.
Well, and then as it goes behind, and I'm just going to kind of slightly say shadow at this point, you can see as he goes behind the bars are actually blocking every time he walks by them.
Mm-hmm. So there's light in that direction, so that kind of shadowy figure is in fact A, behind it.
Yep.
And B, it kind of turned into a cloud. Now,
ooh, there you go. There's a good one of that left arm. Ooh, that one's kind of...
And now what I was trying to say with the last video about what the implications are. Like, imagine if... Okay, so now we're open to the idea of cloaking, if that is in fact a real UFO video. So now, what do those abilities extend to now? And what does cloaking actually... What could that be capable of?
I don't know what
right?
that video was. Sorry.
So this looked like it cloaked to an extent.
Yeah, because
that helped it go through matter.
Yeah, and you can't see it at this point. Now it is going to walk into that camera again, but totally different mass and form on the far side of the gate than when it goes through.
Now I'm gonna throw out an implication here real quick that we might talk about in another episode, but we know that radio waves dependent upon density travel through matter.
Well, yeah, you're right, but I just noticed this. You can see the rails of the gate through his head right there.
So he's still partially transparent.
Yeah, look at this. Yeah, like look, you can see literally the gate right behind him when he first initially goes through. and then now you can't.
Yeah, he's stepping very wide.
Yeah.
Like the way he's moving his shoulders into the step and the way he's kind of, I don't want to use the term swag because I can't stand it. But he's definitely putting some drip on that walk.
Jesus.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But like right there, you can see the gate through him. But yeah, on your line, and which probably at this point, or if they haven't, you're gonna notice. I think that was the big when I went on kind of this ghost hunt for Declassified. That was really, we did get some evidence, but the bigger discussion was more on radio frequencies.
Yeah. And another thing I want to point out very quickly, without jumping too many steps here, is that another thing that's intriguing about the video is so I am a I would like to consider myself
This-
professional,
this-
right? I make a living off of audio.
This video
And,
right here.
Yes.
Okay.
And Mark, you are a professional in your field as well. And I would tell people that don't practice these things that sometimes making something look shitty is harder than making it look good.
Mm-hmm.
So if the footage, which obviously the footage is real of the actual like area, and that guy was superimposed, you know, the editor faces a situation where he has to match how shitty that CGI is.
With the, yeah.
And that's really hard to do. That's really hard to do in audio. It's really hard to do in video. Like, you know, if you're recording over a sample, it's hard to make the new stuff shitty.
Mm-hmm.
And this looks just as grainy, just as blurred. The light's hitting it kind of the same way. I mean, there's a lot of elements of this that make it the same way you mentioned the UFO video. If you zone in on the shake of the camera, if the UFO didn't shake, which is hard to program into CGI, then it would be a lot more obvious. Like if that's one static thing and the guy's shaking hands, you know, it's not shaking with the building in the video. You know, these are kind of hard to do.
I got another theory I'm going to throw out there. This is along the lines of the radio frequency. What if this is an imprint and that guy was never in the physical world?
Like it's just a replay?
Well, it'd be residual at that point. But what if this is, yeah, I mean, now we're, you know, talking about those radio frequencies again, right? So what if I was standing right there when this happened, there's a chance I wouldn't have seen anything, right? Now, the only difference in that video would be you'd see me standing there by the gate and then you'd see this still happen.
But if it's residual, the thing that I would question is in the past, he wouldn't have been able to walk through the gate. Now, he obviously stands, turns, and looks like he pauses while walking through the gate.
Oh, yeah, that brings up a new element. Residual, by the way, would still go through a gate, potentially, because if that was the path he took every day to go to work, it's basically just, you know how if you walk on a carpet too much or, you know, you create a path. Same thing in time. So the gate just was open at maybe this time another...
It could have been, but he still stopped and turned.
Well, yeah. And
like he paused for a moment at that gateway.
Yeah, and if you look, when he first pulls up to the gate, I say pull up, but he's actually not a very human-like form. It's very much hunched over, kind of.
Yes.
So, yeah. I don't know entirely. There are some beliefs. So if you go to other cultures, there are shapeshifters that will do stuff like this. The theory behind some of the other cultures is they will actually take children. That's what these kind of things are known to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of cultural significance when it comes to children.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah.
There's a significance to an innocent.
Yep. But that's kind of it, man. Those are the clips that I had for this episode. Not sure what you thought about it. That's kind of like the first go at it, really.
Yeah, I think the clips are great, and I actually like this format a lot. I think we can just open speak about what we see, and instead of like, you know, keeping it to a fucking Facebook message and being like, oh man, imagine doing this on the show.
Yeah.
We can actually do it.
Hell yeah, man.
I think they're intriguing. I don't.
And now to be clear, I'm trying to pull the more concrete evidence footage, not the shitty ones. So
Yes, and that's why I'm trying to approach it ideologically and as well as an editor, because I can actually say that I do a lot of these things instead of some schmuck on the street just turning around and going, oh, it's CGI. Like, you know, if you're going to do CGI in a lot of these things, there's a lot of tricks in it You know, some schmuck just pulling up iMovie and throwing a fucking object on something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same.
Right.
So there's a lot of work that has to go into that type of stuff. And there goes my camera. So we got some good timing.
Oh, shit, I just lost you. All right, well then, on that note, I think that's how we're going to end it. Larocco, you're more than welcome back on here anytime. If you're watching this for free, good for you. If it's on Patreon, thanks for being a Patreon subscriber.